Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 My Career mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we take on the Spanish Grand Prix following back-to-back point efforts for the first time in my F1 career with the, as well, two back-to-back Silverstone races with the original layout as well as the short track version. And we actually come in with a failed upgrade, unfortunately, this weekend as well. Coming into this weekend is going to be dry, just like I would like to see here. Now, as we had that news last episode that Aston Martin has delayed their takeover of Racing Point, which very well might save Sergio Perez a job going into next season. But we had some news to share as well this weekend as well, that my agent actually came to me with a potential sponsorship offer, as Pepsi is looking to sponsor a segment starting in 2021 called the Pepsi Young Drivers Race Update. And we are one of the drivers that, of course, is going to be up for that potential contract going into the 2021 season. So we could sign it going forward. The details basically are going to be, the incentive is going to be 500,000 Canadian dollars, I should just say, 500,000 Canadian dollars in my currency for a partnership. And as well, you'll be seeing, of course, Pepsi race updates for the young drivers going forward in 2021. So you think right off the bat, drivers that'll be included is myself, Lando Norris, of course, comes to mind, George Russell, drivers like that. These guys that are fresh in Formula One within the last couple of seasons that they'll really be focusing on. Of course, you can really see that changing a lot throughout Formula One because a lot of drivers are, very susceptible to losing rides, unfortunately, as we come through into this free practice one. And we will think about this contract and we'll consider signing it going into the next couple of episodes. But a potential first brand deal is pretty exciting. But you know what's more exciting? Running well on the racetrack. And that's our focus for this weekend here, as we are going to focus now on qualifying. And we've hit a point here in this career already where I feel like we've kind of got our bearings straight. We've gotten comfortable in this Renault, and now we're able to, as you see my team principal there come up to us, but I feel like we're at a point now where the team is confident in us, and I'm confident in the team and the decisions they're making for the most part, to where we can definitely come in and run, into Q3 pretty comfortably now. And I feel like at this point we're expecting to finish in the points. It took us a couple of Grand Prix to kind of learn, but I feel like we've adapted pretty quickly after the third race there in Hungary. And of course, we've had back-to-back points efforts. Q1, it was a breeze, pretty comfortably through, but a bit off of Daniel Ricciardo. So there was definitely some work to do, as there was really no surprise exits there in Q1. So I knew some work to do if I wanted to match my teammate of Ricciardo, who had a really rough effort in the Silverstone short Grand Prix. And no point finish there for Ricciardo. Just he could never go forward after a rough qualifying effort now, and we have continued to see this wild season really shape up between Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas here as we come through down the front straightaway in Q2 to cross the stripe, and putting in a pretty decent lap. But I didn't know if it would stick, but I can confirm it would. And we were a lot closer to Ricciardo this time, as you see Lando Norris actually out in Q2, and so was Lance Stroll. So a bit of a surprise to see Norris out, your Hungarian Grand Prix winner, of course, as we come through into Q3 at this point now. And we're doing everything we need to be doing. And you know what we really did between Q1 and Q2 is we closed the gap to Ricciardo quite significantly, a lot more than I expected to. And here we are now on our one and only lap in Q3, and I can tell you, as this lap went on, I really don't think I could have ran a much better lap than what I was putting up on the board here. I was absolutely flying, at least I felt like I was flying around this circuit as we got just a few corners to go. Of course, this is not the updated Spain that we have current day in 2025. It's the one with that weird chicane, and it really sucks, but you gotta deal with it as we come through out of the final turn. Open up that rear wing to the line. Ricciardo's dropped to 9th. He'll drop to P10 as we out-qualify 2 Grand Prix in a row. Our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo, and we even beat the McLaren of Carlos Sainz, and putting us in P8. Front row lockout again for Mercedes, Bottas, Hamilton. How about Sebastian Vettel up there in P3, Verstappen in 4th, as we have an interview here following qualifying.
Let's have yours. It's been a great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race?
I think so, Claire. I mean, this team's got a good strategy, kind of prepared for tomorrow. I think we're going to be in for a good Sunday.
How do you feel this season is going for you? Is the car competitive?
I think ever since Hungary, the team's really been gelling, and I really do think we're in for a good season.
Great. Well, that's everything.
The Spanish Grand Prix has been a permanent fixture on the Formula One calendar for over 30 years now, and for good reason. Do you remember Michael Schumacher's absolute dominance here in that rain-soaked Grand Prix in 1996? That day he took his first ever victory for Ferrari, and we've had many more iconic moments since. The Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya then, a high-speed 2.89-mile circuit which demands an efficient downforce package and bravery on the part of the driver, especially through the blind right of turn 9, which we might just see taken flat this weekend. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you got your own race to run, I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Albon. Perez, the Rainmaster, Sainz and Daniel Ricciardo, Stroll, Norris, Pierre Gasly and Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Daniel Kvyat and George Russell. Latifi and Kevin Magnussen fills the last spot on the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right then, we're ready to kick things off here from the Spanish Grand Prix, starting on the softs, of course, that we put up in Q2. We'll be doing a two-stop strategy, hopping onto mediums on both pit stops here as we get ready to go racing. Formation lap underway there, lining up right behind Sergio Perez and Alex Albon picking up his first win in Formula One. Last episode in Silverstone Short, we thought it was going to be Leclerc, and he ended up dropping from first to fourth after a terrible strategy call from Ferrari to put him onto the hard compound tire. Sebastian Vettel, we watched him drive through the grid but couldn't quite get to myself, fortunately, but still was able to score a strong result. Vettel still looking to secure a contract extension with Ferrari going into 2020. Lots of drivers looking to secure contract extensions. It's a big contract season, and Alex Albon did wonders for his potential to stick with Red Bull going into 2021 in that last episode, picking up his win, but he has to keep up that consistency here as we are ready to go. The Spanish Grand Prix is lights out and underway as we head down towards turn one. A bit of a slow start, but we're not the only one. Everybody pretty well behind us is all over each other now. Carlos Sainz, Lando Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, as well as into turn one. Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas side by side. Hamilton goes through, says thank you very much to the lead on the soft compound tire compared to Bottas on the medium. So we know immediately Hamilton will have to pit before Bottas comes in as well. Bottas really made it through into Q3 on the medium tires. That is super impressive, and I think a strategy call that's really going to benefit him potentially today. As you see, softs all lined up behind the Mercedes. I believe he's the only one that made it into Q3. He is the only one that made it into Q3 on the medium compound tire. And I really think there's an advantage in his court today now, as of course he wants to be able to outscore Lewis Hamilton today, as they both had, up and down a few recent races. Hungarian Grand Prix, they of course had to work their way forward, and same for the Silverstone Short as they struggled in qualifying and went out in Q2 with the wet weather. We have really seen in this pandemic season, as wild as that already is, with of course a shortened season, the schedule is all over the place. We have as well seen some wild races thrown into the equation, and you never know, we could see it here today. The thing here in, of course, Circuit de Catalunya is the problem's going to be passing. It's not a very easy circuit to pass on, so I really do think if you get the strategy wrong, and the guys that didn't advance into Q3, I think have a real chance to upset some drivers today that made it into Q3, including myself. I think they could really, leapfrog us here throughout this race. But we have settled in pretty well to the 8th position in front of Carlos Sainz, and we've got Perez in front of us and Daniel Ricciardo there, our teammate, just a few spots back in P10. Leclerc a few spots up. Of course, we finally avoided new rival of Charles Leclerc in that last episode there in Silverstone Short, at least. However, I'm still not very happy with Leclerc, and if we can inconvenience him, we're definitely going to do that. I mean, we had that run in there in the Hungarian Grand Prix where we spun off his nose, and you could really blame either driver there, but of course we as well then had to run in the very next race in the full-length Silverstone. As how about Lewis Hamilton already coming into the pits on his soft compound tire? So Hamilton's in, but he's not the only one as well. You've got a few other drivers that are going to follow him in, like Max Verstappen, for example, and as well, I believe that is Sebastian Vettel, and we as well are going to be coming into the pits to make our pit stop now, and we're going to have a good opportunity to get onto a medium compound tire here on the 7th lap of this Grand Prix. So softs come on, or off, mediums go on, and hold on, a bit of a slow stop, and Carlos Sainz is going to get the leap on us there. Not what we want to see. So we've given up a position as we'll return to the track, and now we're really going to see this Grand Prix shape up, because the drivers that didn't have to start on the tires that they qualified on, of course, anybody that didn't make Q3, they are going to be, running a bit long because they started on mediums or hards, and they're going to be going a lot longer in this first run, and the difficulty to pass on this track is going to really set us back, and you can see this right here. We're already coming up on Sainz as well as Perez and Vettel, and they're stuck behind a Williams, and look at Lewis Hamilton here. He's caught up behind a couple of cars as other drivers pit now. That's Alex Albon and Leclerc who have just pitted, but Hamilton's stuck and planted behind a Haas, as well as just in front of him, I believe, one of the AlphaTauris. So this is going to be interesting. Valtteri Bottas, I think, as we come out just behind our teammate of Ricciardo, and we've been leapfrogged by our teammate as well, showing that slow pit stop really has hurt us there. And it wasn't super slow, but it was slow enough apparently to really put us in a tight spot and losing a couple of positions. But Bottas is still on the track, being on those mediums. He is in clean air, and he is driving away. So Hamilton, who we thought might have been in control of this race after getting the lead on lap 1, I think this is turning in the direction of the favor of Valtteri Bottas now, and he might be in the perfect position to now win this race. So he is going to go quite a bit longer still. We're not even at lap 10, as you see Ricciardo now going for a move around the outside of Nicholas Latifi, that is, here now as we come into this final sector. And I mean, you can see the difficulty in passing. You're waiting for realistically 2 straightaways that give you an opportunity to overtake, and now I would have to wait to the front straightaway, get Latifi, fellow Canadian, there around the outside in a turn 1. He is so far off the pace right now. Latifi, who won the Formula 2 championship last season, is not having a very good start to his Formula 1 career, but still a lot of time. Well, I say a lot of time, but we only have 16 races. But you can see what's happening here. Hamilton's still stuck. Look at this. He cannot get past Roman Grosjean or anybody. So this is really, really hurting him. Now, eventually he would start to get through, and he would actually pass. It was not an AlphaTauri. It was a Williams of George Russell. He got past Grosjean. He would eventually pass George Russell as well. But the damage is done. I mean, Valtteri Bottas has had clean air. He's been driving away. He has still yet to make his pit stop, but he's going to make his pit stop relatively soon. But Hamilton has lost so much time. Bottas is going to pit, come out in front, and he's probably going to have a pretty large gap, and he's going to be one-stopping this race compared to Hamilton, who's still got to make another pit stop. Valtteri Bottas is going to be walking away with victory without a safety car here today, and we have yet to see a safety car this season. Virtual safety cars have been very common as Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But yeah, I mean, we're at the back of this train, and we're only running 19th place right now. And the likes of Vettel, Ricciardo, Sainz, myself, we're all just stuck trying to navigate traffic, as now Ricciardo's actually looking for a move up the inside of the 4-time champ of Sebastian Vettel, and this is not because of a lack of pace in Vettel on his tires or anything. No, he's actually got an issue. There's a mechanical issue right now in the Ferrari. I would ask my race engineer just to make sure, and I was confirmed. Vettel has a mechanical issue, and he had his a mechanical issue as well recently, and I believe it was the first Silverstone race he had a mechanical issue, so he's got another one, which means we're about to be on attack mode on my, of course, favorite driver here in Formula 1, and excited to talk about Sebastian Vettel and my fandom as well. Going into the next episode, actually, we do have a brief virtual call planned with Sky Sports to kind of talk about our debut in Formula 1 and whatnot before we actually head into the racetrack. So we'll be kind of probably talking about our idol in F1, which is Sebastian Vettel, as you saw me pass him. Bottas comes into the pits. Stroll and Norris stay out. They, of course, missed Q3. And they're benefiting. Bottas comes way out in front of Lewis Hamilton, and look at all the cars. He's got the 2 Alfa Romeos and both the AlphaTauris in between him and Lewis Hamilton, so Bottas is going to drive away in clean air again, and Hamilton, well, he just has to watch. That's his only option. He's going to have to watch Bottas drive away, and he knows he has to pit again. His race is over in terms of winning, unless something goes wrong for Bottas, and I don't see that happening here as we come through to nearly halfway through this Grand Prix, and we are just in this train now in front, of course, of Vettel. As well, Kimi Räikkönen has now pitted, so he's out of the way of Lewis Hamilton. We're seeing a bunch of drivers now come into the pits that started on those mediums that missed Q3. So they're finally getting out of the way, which unleashes all of us to be able to now finally set the pace that we know we're capable of. And it's crucial to run faster than those guys that just pitted, so that way we don't come out behind them and have to go through all of this again, because as they all made their pit stops, I mean, we're all the way up to P11 now, right behind Ricciardo. So Carlos Sainz just in front of him here on lap 17 of 33, running out of time. Look at the track map. Valtteri Bottas is now heading into turn 1. Hamilton, you see, is a little ways behind him. Honestly, Hamilton's closer than I thought he would be, but Hamilton still has to pit again. Bottas doesn't. So therefore, it's race over for the win. It's going to be Valtteri Bottas picking up the win, likely over Lewis Hamilton. Now, as you can see, it looks like Sebastian Vettel's issues have been sorted out, because he is all over the back of us here now. But, I mean, he's not really going to be able to do anything, because we've got the DRS, of course, from our teammate of Daniel Ricciardo there. As you can see, once again, the gaps between the two Mercedes. There goes Lewis Hamilton through the frame as well. And, I mean, right now, it looks like it's going to be Stroll and Norris that are going to be fighting to get the podium, because as you see, Leclerc and Albon and Verstappen, all those guys, but right now they all have to pit again, and the Stroll and of course McLaren of Lando Norris, they don't have to pit again. They're in the same boat as Valtteri Bottas. As you see now, Sainz comes into the pits. So we're going to come in at the end of lap 19. We're going to come in and we're going to get our second set of medium compound tires on. And yeah, Lewis Hamilton has now made a pit stop for the second time. He's come out just behind me, but of course he's going to breeze through, as Ricciardo has to stay out one more additional lap as we come in, and we'll get down to that 50 miles per hour speed limit, and we'll come in and get these mediums off. Put a new set of mediums on. They're changing the front wing for I don't know what reason, but that's going to cost us several seconds. What is this? I did not need a new wing. I have the settings set to automatic, so the team has determined that we needed a new front wing.
What are we doing, guys? I did not need a front wing. The car was driving fine.
We saw damage on our end, mate. We needed a change.
I don't understand. I was doing fine. I think that's a terrible call. I mean, we just screwed ourselves.
Focus on the task. Drive forward here, we'll catch them in traffic. Head down, drive fast.
Head down, drive fast. The team thinks they've made the right call. I don't. I really don't. I was really surprised to see the front wing getting replaced on that car, but I mean, head down, drive fast. That's what we've been told to do. And I do see a world where we do get back to where we were, simply because the cars that pitted for the one-stop strategy that missed Q3, they have gotten in front of the likes of Vettel and Ricciardo and all the guys we were just racing with. So basically, it's a carbon copy of what we had after the first pit stop. And look at this. We have already run them down by the time we come to lap 21, where we've specifically run down Sebastian Vettel, who is maybe lacking some pace again because he's gotten pretty disconnected from Ricciardo. But here we are. right behind, of course, the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, and we can't waste any time. We have to drive 100% right now to try and get back to where we were, and we're going to go around the outside of the hard tires of the Haas, and now we've gotten to Sebastian Vettel, and I mean, we're not going to waste any time, of course. I'm going to race Sebastian Vettel a lot friendlier and more respectful than anybody else on the grid, but we still don't have time to waste. We're going to have to get the elbows out because we are on lap 23 of 33, just over 10 laps to go. It's go time. We need to make up track position, and Vettel is stuck behind Russell, invulnerable. Here we go for a move on the Ferrari, the four-time champion who's also on the hard tire. As we go up the inside now of Russell, we'll pass them both now. An easy 2-for-1 special, moving us up a few spots into P16. 15th place, Roman Grosjean. Just in front of us as the Frenchman tries to hang on, but as we head down the front straightaway on lap 24, 10 laps to go. Around the outside into turn 1, he doesn't even try to fight it there as we move up into the top 15, but we've got a huge gap to make up. Multiple seconds to Sainz and Ricciardo, but fortunately they are stuck in traffic, and we are making these mediums work, and we are driving super hard. Sainz, of course, he's on the hards as well, so it's interesting to see some differing strategies here, but we are pushing 110% right now. I am what I felt like was on the, I mean, just paper perfect limit of what this car can do. So we were making up time, and we were making it up quickly, and still not in favor of the call for the new wing, but I mean, here we are making up the time that we've lost, and that's crucial as we continue to reel in these guys in front of us. Now yellows, and it's Max Verstappen, mechanical failure, and no, Daniel Kvyat has run into the back of him and has torn off half of his front wing. Verstappen's out, Kvyat's got damage. He's going to be slowing up all those cars in front of us massively over this next lap. We gain a free spot on Verstappen. Virtual safety car comes out for, I mean, what, the fourth time, I feel like third or fourth time this season. Max Verstappen's horrible luck this season continues here as we now, virtual safety car comes to an end very quickly after this happens, but look at this mess right here in front of us. We are about to be all over these guys now, and we're not going to waste any time. Goodness gracious, we have rolled right up to the back of Carlos Sainz. Kvyat is in the way. We've got a chance right here in these next few corners to make some overtakes around the outside of Sainz, and now here's Sergio Perez as well. Leclerc, hello Charles Leclerc, who's alongside my teammate of Daniel Ricciardo now, as we are going to get the pass done potentially on Perez. This will move us up into P12. Bit of contact there, but he backs out of it, lets us have it. Kvyat comes into the pits. He'll have to replace that front wing, and now everything's settled out. An unbelievable change of events here late in this Grand Prix in the final 10 laps, and now we're up to P11. Can you believe it? And Ricciardo has fired one up the inside of Charles Leclerc. Bit of contact there between him and Leclerc now, but Leclerc is going to stay ahead, or is he? Ricciardo's going to try and get right up, tucked in behind that rear wing, and pull back at a line and dive up the inside into the right-hander Alex Albon, trying to drive away from this mess. Ricciardo doesn't quite have enough, and Leclerc will stay ahead and now look to drive away, but now the fight for the final point is on. It's between myself and my teammate of Daniel Ricciardo for P10 here. One single point on the line. We've got some underdogs that have stayed out on the one stop and are going to be able to make it to the end, and I just don't think we're going to be able to run them down, and that includes both of the Alfa Romeos of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi now, as we would watch Leclerc and Albon drive away as we come to lap 30. 3 laps to go at this point here, and we're right to the back of Ricciardo, who has to slide. He's vulnerable. We're right on the back of him, and we'll pull out a line, dive one up the inside of our Australian teammate there with the number 3, of course, symbolic to Dale Earnhardt's legacy, as we pass Ricciardo and take P10, the final point here in Spain. What a race it's been, as Hamilton sets the fastest lap and tries to score a point there now, as we see Valtteri Bottas so far ahead of that guy right there, Lewis Hamilton. However, Lando Norris in P3 looking to score another podium over Lance Stroll, but look at this, the Alfa Romeo, as you see Pierre Gasly running top 5 as well, but the Alfa Romeos have backed up to Albon and Leclerc, and that gives me a little bit of hope, because now we might be able to, coming into 2 laps to go, run these guys down as we take a warning for track limits. But the Alfa Romeos, they're off the pace because of that one-stop strategy. But it's so hard to pass. It's been hard to pass all day long, that with 2 laps to go, you can see the gap has come down significantly. These guys can't get past the Alfa Romeos. Albon and Leclerc, they're stuck, and that is bringing me right into the conversation to maybe attack Leclerc of all people here as we approach the final lap. Hamilton sets the fastest lap again, and I mean, a huge checkup, a lockup there from one of the Alfa Romeos has brought us right to the back of Leclerc. Ricciardo as well right behind me. They're side by side between the 2 Alfa Romeos in front. Worst case scenario for Albon and Leclerc as we approach the final lap. It's a big stack up. We're gonna go up the inside, an aggressive move, wheel to wheel, but it's clean with Leclerc, who's run into the side of us, and we go off the racetrack. Leclerc clear, and he stomps on the brake pedal and tears half the wing off. At the last second final lap, round 3 of this rivalry kicks off with Leclerc, but now he's vulnerable too. We're all 3 wide into turn 1. Ricciardo around the outside. We both clear the Monegasque, and Ricciardo goes through. I don't fight him because I've got wing damage. Bottas has already crossed the line to win this Grand Prix, and now we're just trying to back up Leclerc as much as possible to try and keep him out of the points, saying, hey, if you're going to screw me over, we're going to do the same thing to you. As we go wide through the right-hander, Leclerc's going to get through, and there's nothing I can do as we drop to P11 as he will drive away. But that was a full-blown stomp on the brake pedal as he cleared me into the apex, and that needs to be some form of penalty, and if it's not a penalty, we're gonna have a serious problem with it as we are coming home to the final moments of this Grand Prix. And now we're not gonna get points, unfortunately, as Perez is gonna slip up the inside. What a wild race and a wild finishing order again as Perez goes through. Vettel lines up behind. I don't think I'm gonna be able to hold on over Vettel as we go super wide again. Sebastian Vettel up the inside, not even gonna fight him as we drop down to 13th. We should be okay now with the way the corners are. It's tight enough and slow enough. We should be able to hang on over Carlos Sainz as we round the final turn, and it's going to be a last lap drama turn of events and dropping us to 13th position.
Something needs to be done about that, guys. I mean, that was completely unacceptable and in danger. I mean, if they're not going to handle it, I will.
You did nothing wrong. We'll talk to the stewards over that.
I think we've reached new heights in this Leclerc-Owen rivalry. Leclerc, of course, been on the grid since 2018 with Alfa Romeo and moving to Ferrari in 2019, picking up 2 wins to his career, now in his 3rd full-time season. Is he feeling the pressure from this random Renault rookie here who's climbed the ladder as Valtteri Bottas celebrates with Lewis Hamilton and Lando Norris as well on the podium? How is this going to affect the championship is the big question here. It's going to be close. Albon, Lance Stroll, Gasly, Giovinazzi, Raikkonen all in the points, of course. I mean, it's just, yeah, the guys that didn't have to start on the qualifying tires really benefited in this race with how difficult it is to pass. Hamilton has only 2 points of an advantage over Bottas following the Spanish Grand Prix. They continue to be head-to-head, and I mean, as well, I think there's a good chance Bottas will return to Mercedes for 2021 given his performances here this season. In the constructors, of course, Renault, I mean, yeah, not the day we needed as AlphaTauri really succeeded with Pierre Gasly, and same for Ferrari, who lost out to Racing Point. But that's going to do it for me. I'm sure we're going to hear some news on Leclerc. There's no way that doesn't go unpenalized going into the next race. So I'll see you guys then where we hear what the result is. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.